Hello guys.
Anubis.
We better get fed in this one. If we don't get fed, I don't see this comp winning. We have terrible initiate unless Finra gets a good ult. We don't have a front line, man. Maybe I'll go tanky in this one, if I have to. It definitely doesn't help that the only good player that I know on their team is their solo. Makes it's gonna be, just make it harder for me to try and carry. Well, I hope I win the team coin flip. Because I don't think I'll be able to do much in the early game. Into a good armor.
Minions have spawned.
Oh, it's an Izanami. Well, I'll take everything back. So it's armor jungle. Well, it's gonna be pretty annoying in terms of clear, but fight potential should be just fine. if I had any abilities, I would just blink. I'll take the trade either way. You ain't getting this, buddy.
Out of mana.
It also means he won't hit 5 as early as me. Should make my fight pretty good if I get a good wrap here. I did not, in fact, get a good wrap here. I wouldn't have been able to kill anyway. Did she know? Yeah. Just don't really have any kill potential just yet. Just simply not enough damage.
Enemy missing left.
Should be a kill. Maybe. Maybe not.
Killing spree.
Clean. I don't know why I'm still rotating. I just gotta do my blue. It's a bit awkward. I'm gonna lose a lot of the wave. At least in terms of gold.
Your left tower is under attack.
Yeah, I do not do enough damage just yet. Probably around level 8 or 9 I should be doing enough damage to actually win these trades. You gotta walk up, buddy. It's smart of him not to dash yet.
An enemy has been slain.
I could just zone him again. Oh, well that's a bit of a premature dash. If I catch her now, you're dead. Ah, he's dipping. That's fine. I'll be an asshole just a bit longer. After this wave.
Has been slain.
Hey Bengus, good to see you, man. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of stream now when it fits me and when I'm in the mood for it, instead of forcing myself to do it every day, because I ended up just burning out on it again. I don't want streaming to be something that I do out of necessity, because I'm not doing it out of necessity. I don't need to stream. I'm just doing it purely for enjoyment, and yeah. That went away before I realized it, so at least when I started doing it as a job, basically. It's not supposed to be that for me. I really need to bag as well. I have 3k gold. I've been zoning him enough at this point as well. It's not really gonna matter if I keep giving him buffs and stuff. Then it's useless. No, I canceled it by accident. No. Well, doesn't really matter a whole lot. I had to go to my blue anyway, but
Enemy missing
I
left.
wanted to do the VGS instead. I'm an idiot.
Your left tower is under attack.
She also just refuses to fight at this point, which doesn't make it easy, because she can't just run away. She might be actually going to Twin Towers now. That would be a little annoying.
Enemy missing left.
Thankfully she didn't.
An enemy has been
Oh.
slain. Your right tower is under attack.
Going with this.
An enemy has been slain.
Oh, he actually died to the tower too. That's funny. Kind of greedy and weirdly played by me. I feel like I could have killed him, but I missed a bit too much of my ult. And he also did not realize he had Bloodforge, so the shield was unexpected.
Be right back.
Yeah, that's the thing, Bengus. Like, I streamed 5 days ago latest, but like before the stream from 5 days ago, I think it had been like 2 or 3 weeks. So, you know, it's gonna be very, very on and off. What the fuck? So we'll see. Maybe it's gonna be a once a week thing. Maybe it's gonna be a bit more soon. Maybe it's gonna be even like crazier in terms of how long it's gonna go. I just don't want to set my put a schedule on it anymore. Like, one of the reasons why it also became even more taxing for me was because I had started scrimming. And if I'm scrimming, as well as having to play or stream on top of that, it's just too much smite during the day. I want to do other stuff too, you know? Not really anything I can do about that. This guy is so paranoid at this point. He's just auto-attacking the bushes the whole time. My dude, I do other things. I would like to fight him more, but he is playing so scared. It's actually kind of wild. I'm building a pretty big lead because of it.
Enemy ultimate down.
Yeah, no, like, my decision isn't really influenced by anyone else. Like, it's really based on my own, and at this point it's by experience too. Because like I did stream every day for a while, and I used to do it as well. But last time I did it and kept going, it obviously did not go very well. I just straight up stopped, and I didn't really feel like coming back. So
Be right back.
this time I'm gonna try and control it a bit more, and just kind of do what I want. It's also that Smite 2 can be very samey
Enemies in left lane.
with the low smite, the low gods count and all that. So I don't want to burn out on Smite 2 either. That's another part of it. Like, I enjoy the game a lot. I don't want to ruin it. Not until the mana comes out, you know? At least. Yeah. I can't even barely push. Like, I'm fucking Anubis. I don't do any fucking tower damage. And he practically insta-clears the wave, so... But alright. Is that the game we're playing?
Defend middle lane. Be careful right. Enemy missing middle.
know what? Just do something else.
An enemy has been slain.
Or not, because they just killed him instead. Whatever. I'm going away. I'll just get rid of pen at this point. Doesn't matter anyway. Oh, hello!
An enemy has been slain. Slain an enemy.
There we go. They'd have to burn my blink for it, so
Attack the gold
remains to be seen if it was worth it. I did win the team coin flip though, so I can't really complain, but it is a pretty boring game for me so far.
The pyromancer has arrived.
Wait, it was still up? Damn it, it was still up. I couldn't see it.
Destroyed the gold fury.
Damn it. I feel like you should still be able to see the buff, I don't know. Feels a bit awkward being that close to it and you still can't see it.
Your right tower is under attack.
Defend middle lane. Enemies in left lane.
I do need to be careful with Sobek. He's not someone I want to deal with. But yeah. Actually, never mind. I can. I do have pen.
Your middle tower is under
I
attack.
take everything back. I'll find that fucker.
Slain an enemy. Your right tower is under attack.
I'll TP instead, actually. Let's do that.
I'll gank right lane.
Attack.
Your right tower is under attack. Killing spree.
Don't even fucking need
Double
me.
kill. Killing spree.
You don't even fucking need me. They would have probably gotten him anyway. I'm thinking... What about more tanky? Just in case. I'm pretty sure at this point that there's going to be a surrender coming up somewhat soon, but if they keep going, we do need someone to be a little bit tanky going into this late game. Because so far, all we have is a Morrigan, and in terms of initiation, I don't like it. He can turn to Sobek, I guess, or like Amma.
Your team has
Which can
destroyed
work
the
out for
middle
sure, but
enemy tower.
it's a bit too many ifs. Wow, the Bancrofts though doesn't exist yet. No Bancroft. Typhons is a thing, but a soul gem at the moment is so powerful it just kind of gives you everything. Gives power, cooldown, lifesteal. Like you don't need anything else. So, your soul gem it is. And I'm not building traditionally. Normally you would start Book of Thoth for maximum power. But I'm solo, so I bend the rules. I don't play by the rules. Damn it. Too far away, I guess. I went for it. I had to. is borderline useless on me, Fenrir. I'm not gonna be attacking any objectives. I don't know why he would give this to me. I was in the tower, Dutch. He jumped over the wall. The fuck do you want me to do after that, huh? Alright, I'm back in action.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Do we want to do Rot now? No. No. Rot's for pussies.
Your
You don't do
team
that shit here.
has destroyed the gold fury.
Defend the fire giant.
If I killed something, I need to kill more. That's why we go Deso.
Your left tower is under attack.
I need more cooldown. The fuck was that sound effect? Is that the fire gen autos?
Return to base.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
Just gonna see if Isa walks up.
Your right tower is under attack.
Where are you at?
Attack fire giant.
Fuck man, that stealth lasts for so long. I was so ready to blink. Oh, okay, brothers. Alright, that's fine. I'll take the trade for my 40-second ult. It feels like they don't really want to play the game anymore. I feel like they should surrender this.
Destroy the fire giant.
Missed the initial hit? This sucks. I suck. At least I got defaulted, I guess.
Your right tower.
Damn it, what even happened? I think my hand betrayed me. Damn, I very rarely audibly gasp. I just gasped at that. I was so surprised that I missed.
Your right tower is under attack.
Maybe I'm having an off day. This is my first game. I did one casual before this just to warm up a bit, but I was sloppy. Oh, come on.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Well, I tried. Dude, did Nuwa ult just do half her HP? Did I see that right? Neith does seem a little confused, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, actually, Neith is the only one who's not negative, so
Be right back.
maybe I'm the one who's confused.
Cancel that. Have fun. Let's not call attention to ourselves. On my way. Sorry. Low profile.
Oh, there's so many Anubises. So many beams. Where's the right one? Then we're diving the fountain. Nice. Fucking Morrigan just turns to me. Oh. My ult's back up. Oh man. Kill the Titan! Oh, buddies. Oh, you better get out. Well, partly my fault for diving the fountain, I guess. I had to try, man. My ult came up, I had to look for it, but whatever. I don't think it changes a whole lot, but I mean, I do need Rod last, but I'm kind of tempted for Soul Reaver as well, because I kind of just ability spam. Also, Dutch, are you gonna queue after this? Or are you already queuing? We could do a queue if you want. Would at least help my chances of winning as well.
Middle tower is under attack.
He's... Dude, no, man. I have... Oh, he helped him. Okay. Oh, that works, I guess. Of all the places to ult him, the base where he's trying to go is probably not the choice. Alright. What damage? Oh, oh, damn, Izanami. You really did not want to fight me. 4k damage. I definitely understand being scared of Anubis, but as an ADC, and especially Izanami, if you level your 1, early game I don't have any way of fighting you. I feel like you definitely should have taken the trades early on. Like, once I finish 2 or 3 items, she can't fight me anymore. At least, considering how fed I was at the time and having Glad Shield and all that stuff. She can start fighting me again once we hit late game, and try and crit me or some shit like that, depending on what she builds. Or just kins me to death. But she needs to yeah, actually fight me at times. Like, trying and failing is better than not trying at all. Sometimes it means you really fall behind because you went for a risk, but I don't know. I still think that's way better than sitting back and never doing anything. I don't have a Q game at the moment. All I play is Teamfight Tactics. That could work, but a Teamfight Tactic match takes way too long to be a Q game. Yeah, I don't actually have anything. I'll just wallow with my thoughts. Yeah, GG's 9E3M. 9E3M. Is there a name in there, or is it just numbers and letters? Play chess? Oh, I'll pass, thanks. Well, for one, I'm terrible at chess. And second, I don't know if I want to tire my brain in between cues, overthinking things, because it's kind of the worst thing for me, is thinking. I'm not good at it, so I try not to. Checkers? Ah, dude, I haven't played checkers in a long ass time. I don't even know if I still like the game. I kind of forgot how to play it, but I probably would like it, honestly, at this point. I think in general, board games is just something I, in a way, outgrew. Or I just didn't have friends to play them with, because everyone just started playing the games instead. Or like PC games. I used to like chess quite a bit. But like I haven't done that in, I don't even know. At this point, probably 15 years. When the fuck did I get so old? Goddamn. It's weird thinking about time sometimes. Like some things like 15 years ago feel like it happened like recently. It's crazy. What the fuck, man? Dutch is outbanning me already? What the fuck, man? What is this? You think you know a guy, and then they do this. Wild. Animal behavior, I say. Also, what the fuck is up with all this Akate gameplay? Rise 3W? Yeah, but that's why I ban it. Because I'm so tired of it. Because it's not fun to play either. It's just boring. It's just overplayed. Well. Tragic. Dutch, if you're queuing, are you queuing alone? Get me the fuck in a party. Help me out, boys. I need to rise. It's hard as a solo laner. I rely on the 50-50 on the team. Even though I think I've been winning with these... Yeah, okay, never mind. I've been winning most of my recent games. We don't talk about this Hurt game, though. This was a pretty big game, I would say. I can't see the names, though, unfortunately, for some fucking reason, but... Kha'Zix, 5 other people, 4 other people. I remember I had Hawk, I had... other people. It was a big game, alright? I had a rough fucking time. Even though I played this game alright. I actually think I played it alright, even though my score says differently, but... It was still a rough time. Being behind, like, I mean, Loki 24 says everything, right? Loki just kind of ran that game. I mean, I broke into Masters 3 again. Hell yeah, boys. Progress. Now I just need 560 more. I still think my highest so far, even before the soft reset, was 4,800. I didn't play a whole lot of rank before. I'm playing a lot more rank now. Hopefully I can play enough to make it. Like, I don't doubt if I play enough, I'll end up making it. It's just... With how much you go back and forth when you solo queue, like some wins or games are just unwinnable with the matchmaking at times. So recently, or I guess like it's basically today and yesterday that I've had some pretty good games, I would say, and maybe the day before as well. But for the most part, that has not been the case. I tend to win one, lose one, then win two, lose two type thing. So I just never go anywhere. Until recently, when I started grinding. Okay. What are we looking at here then? I'm kind of tempted into the Thanatos, I'm not gonna lie. But I think I'm gonna be super boring and go Chalk. Just for one game. Partly because of the Zeus. Chalk is kind of good in general at the moment, but especially into Zeus, I think is one of the frontliners. I just need burst when I go on him. I can't be playing shit like Hercules or... I don't know, to a certain extent even Amma. I need to kill him quick and fast. Look, dude, they have a top tier comp right there. Zeus, Loki, Izanami, Sobek. Yikes. Ooh, Bologna. That's good for me. Should be a pretty easy enough matchup. I don't think it's a losing matchup for either of us, though. I can't really interrupt her too, so early game she could be a problem just because she can outpoke me before I really get items online, but I can also outpoke her for the same reason. It's definitely a bluestone angle. Is there a chance they dropped the gods earlier? Nah, I doubt it. It would have to be the same day, like early in the day, but same day in turn or earlier in terms of days, no. Not when they have it scheduled, I think. The only thing I've seen them ever do is drop gods like or like a patch a few hours earlier than intended. Stuff like that. But if you mean tonight, no. I highly doubt it. That would be very surprising, but welcome. I'm down. I'm playing right now. Give me Thor, please. That's the thing. Actually, I hope I'm in the mood for it, because I will definitely play Smite on Tuesday when the gods drop. But I will see if I can stream as well, because I will play most of that day with those gods. Like Thor, Poseidon, Cupid. Cupid is a bit, we'll see. Like it's solo Cupid, I'm not sure, but I will definitely play Thor and Poseidon, without a doubt.
Ah, how wonderful. You're as solid as a wall.
Oogie, I fucking love you, but
Are you actually back for Smite 2 now, or are you just you're just chilling tonight?
I'm just chilling. I'm preparing for Thor.
You're really quiet as well. You might have to turn up your microphone after they fixed it.
yeah, turn it up, animal.
I might be on laptop microphone because I can't switch.
It sounds good now, though.
Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, Dutch, I have the same thing with Anubis. My Anubis is almost like rank 7. My Smite 1 Anubis over the whole history of Smite, the 10 years that I have essentially
Burger
gone and
King,
played the game.
bro. That's why is Zeus open, man. Hello.
I have him rank 6 in
fucking
You need
Smite
to
1,
mid.
Zeus.
so
You need to mid diff, okay?
Yes.
and kind of same thing with Hades, honestly. I enjoy Hades' Smite too, quite a bit. Chuck's is so slow. Oh, thank God I still hit the creep. I'm surprised Bologna got this late though. Bologna does not have Sunder? No, okay, that's why. Another blink. Interesting. I would always go Sunder and Bologna, personally. But I missed.
Your middle tower.
Well, I suck.
Completed.
I just need level 3, then I can start poking a bit. And actually win these traits. Chuck is such a slap people in the face type of god at the moment, then run away. He's a real bitch to deal with. In a very not funny way to deal with. hold on to not long enough. Or short enough, I should say. Hit the wave! I want to fight you. At least until now.
Your right tower is under attack.
I want to make him blink. Yeah, there we go. That's all I need. But when I hit 5... Oh, did he back? I'll zone instead, I guess. You should lose at least like 5 grips for this. Ow. What did you buy? Oh, I see. That makes sense.
An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Just perfect. You're as solid as enemy spotted.
Unfortunate. I am gonna have to give that up.
Be careful, right. Returning to base.
He's gonna get red as well. Oh, jungler's not around.
Out of mana.
Unless she didn't go for red, which would be very nice for me. She, holy fuck, she did. What the fuck?
Yes.
That was fast.
Yes.
0-2, man. Come on, come on. Step it up, step it up.
You will be silent. Tank middle range. Godly wrath. An ally has been slain. Okay. Your middle tower is under attack. Tank middle range.
Good luck.
I'll take some more zoning. Probably just should have ulted to get his ult, to be honest.
Farewell. You're as solid as a rock. Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Killing spree. Okay. Double kill. Thanks.
I do need to be pretty careful.
Your right tower is under attack.
I just need to stay safe at this point before my blue spawns.
Godly wrath. Your right tower.
I don't think he's gonna bait with that HP though. And he doesn't have Sunder, so if I am around, it is still more risky for him.
Enemies behind us.
I don't want to rotate.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy missing left.
Okay, dude. Oh, that's so annoying. I got too distracted by what was happening in mid. I was looking away. Fuck me, dude. I lost the full wave for that.
Be careful left. Be careful left.
That sucks. I still have an XP lead at least, but that's so annoying. Right. Let's do the this stuff right here. What's happening in left?
An enemy has been slain. I'm as sturdy as an efforts are noted. To the face!
Oh, didn't want to press my ult in the first place. I misclicked.
Enemy has been slain.
Aegis is a.
I am the sovereign of darkness.
Loki is up at ults down.
To the face! Godly wrath. Until we meet again.
It's so big, man. Go away.
Zeus blink.
Bologna keeps having red buff too. The one I gave, but now she has it again. Well, this is the same. Maybe it's running out soon. It is a pretty terrible chuck skin, so I'm not gonna lie. I feel my vision is obscured every time I use this. This hammer is too fucking big. I don't know why it's so big.
And Sobek is in left jungle.
Yeah, he lives here. This is so big. Plug me, actually, plug me.
I'm looking for an invade. Loki's here.
It's so funny. I don't know, mana for this. Boys, I have so many people here the whole time. We need to rotate on this.
He's on my purple.
I actually ran out of mana. That's so tragic. I couldn't ult. Balone at least died for this, but
I like.
Your middle tower.
Sobek just lives here. I'll grab some words just for him. As a gift.
Take this
I mean,
jungle.
Sobek's kind of making me want to go magic defense already. I was gonna wait, but he's being a little bit of an ass.
Pyromancer has arrived. Godly wrath. Light for the darkness.
We've reached the point where you won't be trading with me too well anymore, buddy.
Godly wrath has slain an enemy.
Nice job. Be careful running out of my way.
Red buff also helps.
Grant me the rein. Seize the enemy. Double kill. Enemies
Nice
incoming
job.
right.
You rock,
Are
but
you
don't
up?
get cocky.
No. No, you are not.
Ready.
Are you gonna jump in the queue, Sap?
Ultimate is down.
Or are you just hanging out tonight? Dude, how the fuck did both miss?
Enemy missing middle.
It must be the skin.
Tower is under attack.
This skin is making me worse.
Very good. Good. Very good.
Okay, let's blink.
On my way. On my way.
I don't believe in luck. If you need storm. Unstoppable. Yes.
I don't recognize Nemesis, but she seems to be doing pretty well. I'm not gonna let her steal it again. That's good, she's on there.
Bye.
Your left tower is under attack. Face. An enemy has been slain.
Nice job.
Enemy missing left.
Thought she was gonna proxy for sure.
Attack the Gold Fury. Face. Enemies have returned.
Enemies in middle lane.
Your team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Be careful. By the light. Slay an enemy.
Don't reach.
On my way. Good luck.
Yeah, I know you're here. I don't have a choice. I don't want to get executed. We still. I have a chance. No. God damn it! Every time! Leave me alone. I should have just backed in the first place. I had so much gold on me. Actually, no. What I should have done was TP to the other side. I just didn't think Loki was going to rotate on me. I thought it was fine. It was so big there. I wanted to greedy wave. Which I should have done and just died for it. I'll just do Genji's, yeah. Fuck it. I'm playing a bit bored. I need to stop before I int. Premature chain like
On my way. On my way. Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy middle. Be right back.
Enemy ultimate down. Retreat.
Oops.
fucking pharaohed me. Like, I don't care if Sobek is coming. I don't think this really matters. It's fucking Sobek! Why is he here? Go away. I want to live a Sobek-less life.
Tower is under attack.
But it's not to be. So far. Oh well. I got my lead back anyway.
Enemy ultimate down. Godly wrath.
Be right back. Come on and hit me.
Has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Don't die, Burger, don't die. I'm coming.
Ally has been slain. An enemy has destroyed radiance.
Come on and hit me.
Godly wrath.
I push mid, I save you, okay?
Okay. I'll take everything. I suck. I fucking suck.
Your team has
I'm getting him. I don't care what it takes. I'll get him eventually.
Your team has destroyed the pyramids. You have slain an enemy.
I'll admit, I fucked up, alright? I don't even deserve that kill. I'm still playing this like an asshole.
You will be slain.
I'm gonna start taking this a bit more serious. Like, any rotation is gonna stop that from happening. Might just kill me instead. So, I'm just gonna play a bit more serious now.
Your right tower is under attack.
Sobek is being a bit of a cheese stick, though, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, buddy.
Enemies incoming.
I mean... Oh, why are there 4 people here? What the fuck is this? I don't understand it. I don't have enough cooldown. Yeah, I mean that's just straight up fire giant. If we just back.
I'm as sturdy as an
That
oak.
was
Attack fire giant. Need heating. On my way. Attack the fire giant.
I'm still tough damage at least, so that's what matters. They're gonna wait for me, right? Wait for me, boys. 2 seconds.
Your middle tower
Thank
is
you.
under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the
Oh, okay.
Stop DPSing it, Ogibwe!
It's fine, bro. You just don't secure it.
Yeah, let me secure it with Hades.
Dude, no way!
Okay, my bad.
I can't believe that happened. Kinda on me, I guess.
I literally waited her
You
ult
have
and
changed,
everything.
man. Smite 1
He's just unlucky.
would have hit.
He's just unlucky. I have no mid. He's just unlucky. I waited her ult, and I waited for my teammate, and you still fail.
Oh, we kill her. What about that?
Well, you didn't do it, so unlucky.
It's fucking so big, man.
Maybe sometimes it's on you. Maybe you need to look inward, not only
You-
at your teammates. Okay?
You have changed, man. What the fuck?
Be right back.
Yes, I am enlightened.
Dude, Sobek lives here, man. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
I like it. I enjoy it.
He's still here! Why are you here? You know, at this point, I won't even think about it. I'll just expect him to be here. I'm gonna follow him now.
Enemies in mid-range.
Sobek rotating behind.
Team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
I'm coming in, let's fucking fight this.
The Pyro.
I'm fucking getting the Sobek.
You're welcome, Burger King, bro. You're welcome, my best friend Dutch. You're welcome, bro.
Actually, I guess we might actually be able to. Sure, why not?
I've never
GG, guys.
but I am the greatest.
Fuck you.
GG's.
Fuck you.
I have no words for this game. I was no, certainly one of the Smite 2's games. One of the Smite 2 games I've ever played. I had a hard time taking that one serious. When I tried to, I got 4-man ganked. And then I went back to being a bit unserious again. It's not easy. In Smite 2 sometimes. I did feel like the teams were a bit uneven in terms of SR though, I'm not gonna lie. But I mean, some people are still a lot higher than they should be. Especially because most of the high people, or I would say all of the high people probably got like soft reset, so it just kind of evened it out even more, which was the weird part about the soft reset. Like so many people are like quote unquote boosted in a way that makes the matchmaking a bit uneven at times. But I mean, some people also are good. Like I have no idea who the Nemesis was. No idea. But Nemesis was clearly just mechanically good. Compared to a lot of the other no names that I end up. Well, no name sounds mean, but like unknown names, I guess, whatever. That I usually see. Chuck is just kind of boring though, I'm not gonna lie, but meeting him is just as boring. Because he doesn't really require a whole lot of skill at the moment. You just build cooldown and you just throw your axe the whole time, and half the gods can't deal with it. In laning phase, you just outpoke them. I mean, probably even more than half, to be honest. I met it as Hercules yesterday, I couldn't do fucking shit. Because he uses your, like, his axe 3 times while your one is on cooldown. It's fucking horrible to deal with. Yeah, Mordred's gonna get shit on. Like, Odin is gonna be the... just Odin has no bad matchups. He's just generally fine into anything, but... Odin is in the same vein as just kind of being boring. He's so overplayed. There's just a few guys in Smite 2 that I just can't be asked to play anymore, because they were just strong for so long that I had to play them in, like, competitive as well as scrims. And I'm so tired of them now. I'm starting to recover from Bacchus, but Odin is still kind of there. Chuck and Ra right now are there. It's a bit much. It's always the same 2 gods I feel like you end up having to play over and over again. Well, it is ranked, so it doesn't matter a whole lot. And I'm not tired of Sobek, but I do feel like I have played Sobek a pretty decent amount as well. But at least I enjoy him still. I just really like Sobek. I think in ranked he's a bit more unsatisfying though than he is in competitive. Because there's just not always good follow-up on the plugs, and it's unsatisfying to play. When you kind of almost sacrifice yourself for a single plug late game. I feel like I could not win Zeus because he had Book and you didn't. Is Book, you think Book is that powerful to be like the big difference maker? I mean, I see it. In general, I think Zeus is just... Zeus is not alright. But, what bit did you build? Did you go Soul Gem first? Yeah, trying builds without Book. Yeah, I think Book is just kind of a must on like the big burst mages at the moment. I think you have to. In solo, I can do other stuff, and I kind of need the early lifesteal, so I tend to not do that, but... It is definitely one of those cases where I think you just can't. Like in mid, it makes most sense to go Book. Like you're farming most of the early game anyway. So going for a stacking item that will just be more useful later is just generally better. Solo is just so much about brawling and fighting because you need objective control that going for Book as someone like Anubis or Hades just isn't something that I generally do because I can't. I need early lifesteal and then probably some protection, and then I can go into more power to make sure that I have a good brawl ability. And even then, like on Hades, I don't really build to brawl either way, because he just can't. He's not a good brawler in the early game. He needs levels and items so badly to be useful. Mostly levels. If your 3 isn't a threat in terms of healing, you can never try and trade. Because once I heal enough, I can look for a trade, maybe go even or slightly negative in the trade, or just win it obviously, but as long as I can heal it back up, that's the big thing with Hades. So I just gotta make sure that I don't take fights too early. Because if I stay even or ahead as Hades, I will be there for late game and mid and late game. If I fuck up early into something real rough, like I don't know, maybe Ra, or in this case, potentially an ADC. Like if this ends up being Neath, it's a good matchup for me when I have enough items to kill her. But early game, that's not gonna be the case. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be Neath solo because it's the same guy. I'm gonna get out pressure as well, because she is better clear than me early. If she plays it right. Granted, if she plays it right. Actually, it could also be Baron solo, now that I'm looking at it. It could be Neath mid as well, but I'm expecting it to be Neath. Maybe I need to... maybe I should try... No, I don't. Actually, never mind. I was about to say maybe I should try a bluestone Hades eventually, but
It holds no
I don't
significance
really
for
think that's a good idea. I think Sans is just too valuable on Hades. On something like Nuwa, I'm fine with it. Because she has a bit of trade ability in her kit that makes sense, like the root. But Hades doesn't really have anything like that. You just want a one-shot with your stuff. See how full damage Ra turns out? I think it's still fine, it just isn't as good. Or rather, it's not broken, it's just fine. I tried it myself in a somewhat big game, like I don't know, a week ago or something. I think I went 10-12, something like that. It was pretty good. Ra definitely does damage, but the problem with Ra is the same thing in Smite 1. If you get capitalized on, you just die. He just doesn't really have a good way of getting away. But if you can somehow keep the distance and keep poking, he still does a fuck ton of damage. I like it personally. And if I had to build him solo now, depending on who I'm against, obviously, like I might just go for the broken Ra build, but he's so much more fun as an ability-based mage than what he is right now, which I'm not even sure what the fuck is. It's like an auto-attack brawler. I'm always one auto off. I don't know why. My brain just always says to activate it then. Which is bad sometimes. Okay, never mind. It is a Baron. That is a decent matchup. And I should have the early clear, at least, so that's good. Lane is winning, so that's nice. Love to see it. I do have to be careful at this point. Thanatos could be anywhere. Just means I won't dash. Yeah, this is not not really the most engaging matchup. But usually it isn't as Hades. I tend to have to sit back either way, so at least in this one I'm not getting shat on.
attack. An enemy has been slain.
That's the way Fan is here now, right? Surely.
An ally has been slain.
Alright. It's a blink. I was so tempted to dash in afterwards, but I don't think my 1-3 would have finished him off. Which would have been not great for me.
Your left tower is under attack. Gank.
I think I need to do both our buffs here. Otherwise we might lose one of them.
Face the enemy.
It's so weird you can't see the red buff from here. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I feel like you should be able to.
Your middle tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
I am being careful, right.
Enemy missing middle.
I did lose the full wave for doing this, unfortunately. It's just a terrible clear of Hades at this stage in the game. Let's head home for now. I mean, in this game, I'm actually gonna do book, because this is not gonna be a lane where I need to worry about brawling.
Enemy missing middle.
Normally I would actually never go book on Hades in solo. It just isn't worth it usually, I think. And getting lifesteal early is just something that helps so much in lane.
Their futile schemes are transparent to my sight.
I wish I could rotate it for that, but I can't.
An ally has been slain.
Thana is kind of wrecking at the moment. Not really too concerned about Thanatos as Hades going into mid and late game, but
Enemy missing
if he's
middle.
fed, he will be a problem.
Neve Aegis.
Okay.
Help! 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 Before me.
Don't really do enough damage. Yeah, he's got lifesteal too, so I definitely am not doing anything about that just yet.
Ultimate is ready. Hit.
Oh, this is not good. Dana is gonna just do my blue.
An ally has been slain.
Yeah, it's done.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy spotted.
Loki's level 6, man. We ain't doing anything about that.
Your middle tower is under attack. Face your fate. Your middle tower is under attack. Fabulous! 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 An ally has been
And look, you have 6 please.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, it's not looking too hot. Me and Dutch are kind of getting shafted because jungle isn't doing much.
This hardly warrants my attention.
We still have good late game gods though. If we can just sit back and farm, we should still be fine. For the most part. We can just play response. Assuming duo lane isn't gonna end up losing. But like, they've done alright so far. In lane at least. But the big difference is the jungler.
Their futile schemes are transparent to my sight.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your left tower is under attack.
He's low-key at least, so he will be there for late game, hopefully. But
On my way. Think nothing of it.
Your middle tower is under attack. Enemy missing left. Enemy missing left. Cancel that.
he's still there. I'm just gonna do this real fast.
Unstoppable.
Okay.
No, you guys are awful, I'm not gonna lie.
Double kill. Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
No, not cutting us as well.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower
Let's see.
is under
If she's
attack.
pushing, I could.
Your left tower is under
No,
attack.
she's not. Oh, of course she is now. Great.
Okay, okay. Attack! Enemy missing right.
That should be a dead Sobek, right? Yeah.
An enemy
Nice.
has been slain. Defy! Your left tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
Enemy
Your
ultimate
left
down!
tower is under attack.
Down the
Wherever there are gods in need, I'll be there.
I got a good fear. We should be able to be out. As long as Athena doesn't get plucked, which she might.
retreat!
Yeah, I get it, Dutch. We just have to play it safe.
Quiet! Yes.
Like we can still do something going into late game. Right now we'll just have to play around each other rather than our team. Like don't follow up on what they're doing unless you deem it a good idea. Like take advantage of the situation. Just play selfishly. If you think it's a bad gank, don't follow up on it. That's pretty much all we can do. It sounds mean, but like sometimes that's just kind of what you need to do.
Their futile schemes are transparent to my sight.
Killing spree.
Attack!
I'll attack right there. My way.
Futile one! Enemy ultimate down! dreams are transparent to my sight.
Stand your ground.
Your middle tower is under attack.
No, man, he got the heal. Why? Oh well.
Retreat!
Like, that's one of those cases. Like, Athena is simply just doing something bad. We can't really do anything about it. If we deem it a bad idea, just get out. That's about it.
Retreat!
Like, right now. We should not be around right now.
Retreat!
We take the small wins, we get to late game, we play around each other. That's what we need to do, Dutch. And or we capitalize on their mistakes, like we just did, because they were doing something weird. What's with the Sobex in my lane today? What is this?
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemies incoming
An
mid!
enemy has been slain.
So, okay, Thana is still here then.
Ultimate is ready! Be right back!
You're still here, buddy.
Retreat!
Pretty sure he is, considering the aggression coming from
Bend the gold fury!
Buddy over here. Nope, he's not actually. Thana is on the opposite side of the map. I do not damage him though. He does have a lot of defense.
Lane.
Enemies in the middle lane!
Behind us! Behind us! You are as wise as you are strong.
Enemy ultimate incoming! Enemy missing right! Enemy missing right! Counter that!
Well, at this point, I'm just gonna rotate. If he stays, we get a kill here maybe, or two.
An enemy has been slain.
We can also just get tier 2.
Fire, no?
Can do fire as well. It's a bit more risky. We do risk it getting stolen though, but if Baron comes in, just kill him. Baron is coming in, we gotta kill him. That's fine, just go back and fire. This is not good for me though. We need to fight, they're gonna steal it otherwise.
On my way! Ultimate is ready! Gank! Ultimate is ready! Enemy ultimate incoming!
Stop me! You are as wise as you are strong.
I'll attack right lane!
I'll check the buffs. Down. Neith is really far behind as well. 14. I'll do the asshole thing and check speed. Surely. Surely that's up. Hell yeah. Just steal all their shit.
Be right back.
He had peep back to the wall. I couldn't help myself. Right.
I'll attack the cold fury.
Just get all this good stuff. I could have gone starter as well, but full rod is way too tempting.
Enemy
Your
spotted.
right tower is under
my way.
attack. Slain an enemy.
My auto did so much damage. Didn't actually mean to just yoink that. Unintentional yoink.
Destroyed the gold fury.
On my way.
On my way.
Futile schemes are transferred to my side.
That sucks. We didn't really end up having a whole lot of follow up on that. I also didn't realize we didn't actually have 5 people here. That's unfortunate. That's fire time. And he's cooked. Alright. I shouldn't be the one to go in first. That's my bad. Because if I die, we kind of struggle in terms of initiation. The queues this fine evening, they're alright. They could be much better, but they're not terrible.
Your left tower is under attack.
There hasn't been any big queues. They've just been mediocre. It's been, for the most part, like, pretty one-sided, except for this game. But even this game is kind of just
Has destroyed the fire giant.
like me and Dutch as well. So what should I go last? I don't even know. I guess I'll go to a hot cosmic. I'll do cosmic. Get some of everything. Some more cooldown as well. What's my ult? 66. Execute. Order 66.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy missing right.
These guys did fire and they are not pushing by now.
Yeah, be careful. They might just be looking for a pick.
I'll attack right lane. Enemies in the left lane.
Killing spree.
Rain.
actually dead.
Your middle phoenix. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed.
My essence remains
Get it, Dutch.
Defend the Titan.
despite their efforts.
Your team has destroyed the right enemy phoenix.
Oof.
Bye.
If he had ult, I would have been dead. But I guess he didn't have ult after the fight in mid or whatever. That's so lucky. I 100% should have been dead for that. I went greedy with the polys on the Phoenix.
Bye. Save yourself. Before me.
Attack the cold fury.
Ultimate Their futile schemes are transparent to my sight. Attack the Cold Fury.
Tragic. Aw, man. He's so fast. I was surprised my fear even reached, honestly.
Attack the cold fury.
No more speed for that guy.
Your team has destroyed the cold fury.
Be careful left. Enemy ultimate down.
An ally has been slain.
We just need Kernels to stop running around the low and actually just queue with us. A queue. Group. Kernels, can you group with us more? Because you keep getting picked. We kinda need you alive. You're our objective damage.
I'll attack left lane. Good luck.
Let's see if I can pick someone off.
Slain an enemy.
Even death may die.
An enemy has been slain.
Oop.
Curses. Enemies in right range.
Aw, that didn't reach.
Fire giant. I'll attack left lane. Enemies in right range. Enemies in the left lane.
Down as on left.
Destroyed the fire giant.
Predator.
Attack the fire giant.
I can get a 3k pot. I really want to back,
Be
but
careful.
if we get a pick here, yeah, we definitely. I definitely should not be backing now.
Ultimate is ready. Attack.
Damn. Shouldn't even have tried for the fear.
Down upon you.
Attack.
I wanted the poly shot over my 3. I should have just gone for my 3.
It's time to turn this battle in our favor.
Tragic. Not sure how that actually didn't reach. worked out in the end.
Well played, Ades.
Like playing something like Hades in these types of queues are definitely easier than playing something like Sobek or even Odin, which are generally just considered much better. Like if I have the ability to go one shot someone myself, it gets a bit easier. And Hades is kind of just, I guess, the best offensive damage dealer at the moment for me, outside of maybe. I mean, Chaga's obviously great as well, but he doesn't one shot. Like if I can just assassinate someone, like I did with the Izanami, that makes things so much easier. And kudos to our team for listening as well. Like sometimes you have these kind of weird queues where people just refuse to listen and they just get mad if someone is telling them what to do. So if anyone in my team is listening here, then that's nice. I appreciate it. It's okay to accept that someone has better calls. You can listen to them sometimes, you know. I have to do that shit sometimes too. Even in this same game, I made one call, Dutch made a better one, I accepted that. It's alright, that's how we improve. I mean, yeah, Student Eye, if you're playing, you can join the party. We can abuse the triple Q while it lasts. I haven't done it a single time since they brought it back. I hate it. But I'm okay to do it a few times if we have enough people for it. Yo, Student Eye, you joining or not, buddy? You want a triple Q? Assuming it's still a thing and it wasn't patched out. You're in queue right now? Well, Dutch, get him in here. Get him in. Give the man an invite. Let me see. I want to spend some of these diamonds. I just don't know who I should use it on. I think I already have, yeah, I have Sopik. I need to unlock some of these masteries. Fenrir maybe? Because then I can get the emote. Actually, it's not a great emote. Never mind. On hers is a great emote though. Yeah, I'll take on hers. That's a great one. I do like Rouse though. Quite a lot. I'm not sure I want to take it off. Rouse is so good. On hers is so funny though. I'll use it. I cannot wait for Arcane tomorrow. I'm generally just an animation nerd, so that show is just kind of porn, I guess, at this point for me. Just looking at it. It could suck ass, and I would still watch it. Just for the animation. There are still some things I feel that about. Some things are terrible, but it's very pretty to look at. I also get a little sad, because I'm never gonna get that good at drawing to make anything like that. Even though there's 3D involved as well, but still. Oh, I'm ranked 7 on Chuck. Slowly getting there, but it's... Am I the only one who feels like the overall rank 10 should just be a bit lower than 1,000 worshippers? Because this is so funny. I am 70%... excuse me. 70% of the way through this. And I need 600. Like a bit over 600 worshippers still. That's wild. Like the last rank is like 200 worshippers or some shit like that. It is absolutely crazy how... I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of nice because you get the early skins, like these, the Onyx and Opal skins, but still. It's crazy. I can't even... Like, how did I even get rank 10 Modred? How the fuck did that happen? And even more, like, it's not even just rank 10. I'm also halfway through to a star. I played way too much Modred. But he's fun. He just sucks. He's fucking terrible. No, he's not terrible, but he just has horrible, horrible matchups into so many things. And I don't even know what they could do to change him. It's just his kid is kind of bad. Yeah, no, I definitely agree, Suka. I think it should just be the same in every level. Like it should just be 100. One level is 100. But I get the thought process behind this so that people can get to the skins sooner, but if you really want the big one, you gotta work for it. So I don't hate this either, but once you get to like 7, 8, 9, 10 type thing, it's almost demotivating how long it takes to get a single level. That's how I felt with Mordred. Once I was getting to that point, I felt like I was ranked 9 for so long. Because rank 9 is what, like it's almost 200, right? Like you ended like 825 or something like that, 800-ish something, and then you need almost 200 worshippers for the last level. That's a pretty hefty amount of games you need to go through to get to that. Thing is though, it feels longer than it probably is, which is the big problem. And there's so many characters. Like I play a lot of different shit. Like I have so many on rank 5 and rank 6. Like right here as well. Like I'm on 7, Honor is 6, Anubis 6, Bellona 6, Chalk 7. Like, yeah, I mean anything that I pretty much play in solo, with a few oddballs with Kukulkan. People don't really say we play Kukulkan, but he's rank 7, alright? Just accept it. Looking forward to Poseidon. Yeah, Poseidon's gonna be fun. I'm mostly looking forward to Thor, for obvious reasons. He is the most most solo-like playstyle. But I'm looking forward to Poseidon as well. I'm not looking forward to deal with Poseidon as a frontline, because fuck that. In every way, Poseidon is so annoying to deal with as a frontline, and with the current cooldown stuff, or issues, I should say, in Smite 2, that fucker is gonna have Kraken up every 30 seconds, and I'm already dreading it. They do need to do something about the cooldown issues in Smite 2. Like Whirlpool, if it's like if we're using Poseidon from Smite 1 as a reference, Whirlpool is gonna have a super low cooldown as well as a result of the cooldown. He's just all his abilities generally don't have that long cooldowns outside of his one. So he's gonna be super spammy with his abilities, and it's gonna be annoying as hell to deal with. And I guarantee you there will be tank Poseidons as well. Because of the way Glad Shield and everything else works as well, there will be a tank Poseidon. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'll be doing that shit all day. Like Poseidon with Glad Shield, I mean, honestly, the biggest worry here is that his 2 is going to function the same way as Ra's 2, and that is going to proc on every hit, meaning Phoenix Shield, Glad Shield, Poseidon is going to be just as annoying and just as broken to deal with as the Ra. And I don't want to deal with it again. We're going to have a situation where we're literally playing Ra versus Poseidon in solo, because they're the 2 most broken boxes in the game. That is not a future I want to live in. Nah. The big hope, though, I don't think he's gonna have that in reality. Like they've seen what it's doing with Ra. I don't think I'm pretty sure next big balance patch they're gonna remove the stuff on Ra so that it doesn't proc on every hit. Because that is the big problem. Like Ra solo will still be good, but it will be more of a choice rather than like a must. Right now he is just the best boxer. Like no argument there. He is. Because of that. That being said, yeah, like you have some matchup that's fine. Like you can just go Baron and sit back. You can play Hades and sit back, shit like that. Odin also has a decent matchup. Like you can't really fight ever, but you're there for the potential of a kill just because of your ring. And if he doesn't have shell, he's not getting out. So there is that, or blink, I guess. My point being, I'm pretty sure they will just nerf him in some way next patch, because I feel like a lot of people have been complaining about Ra for a little while now, and it was surprising that he wasn't nerfed in the last balance patch, with how heavy he is performing coming out of solo. And holy fuck, this queue is long. Not a big surprise going in a triple queue, but still. It's just going to be a really big patch overall. With Cupid, Poseidon, and Thor all having generally been known for being very annoying to deal with, only having one active. Because you need Aegis into Poseidon. You need either beats or Aegis into Cupid, or you need beats or Aegis into Thor. So, it's gonna be interesting. It's alright, Student 9. There's no guarantee that it's gonna be any quicker if it's just duo queue, so don't worry about it. There might just not be that many people queuing at the moment in higher elo. Like, no matter what, we're gonna get a queue, because like the longer it goes, the wider the search gets, if you understand what I mean by that. We're just gonna end up getting in a game that's gonna be a free win. Probably. If we wait this long. So we'll get a game eventually, but it is pushing me to get a Q game, I'll tell you that much. Oh man, they need to fix this. I hate these red dots. I can't remove them. I also need more borders, man. I don't have any borders. I only have, well, I have one, being Mordred, but that one's pretty cool. Which one is this? Can't tell anywhere. Final Verdict? Is that Nemesis? It's gotta be Nemesis. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. I like that one. It's Capri's. It's decent. Ooh, I like the ice. A lot of these boards are pretty cool. I saw Thor's as well. Thor's is pretty cool. This is Hercules, right? I think this one's kind of meh. This one's pretty. That's Baron. Yeah, it's gotta be Baron with the ghosts. I'm guessing that's Hekate. Eh. It's alright, I guess. I don't like this one. Well, it is pretty, but... Do you have Rage Bagasura? No, I'm not sure what you mean by that. If it's a skin, then, or like drops or something like that, then probably not, no. You're gaming on your phone? That's actually not even a bad idea. I could do that too, but it's not really as entertaining in terms of streaming. Unless I somehow show it, but I don't have any games on my phone at the moment anyway. Wait, this is Fenrir, right? Or which one is this? This one is way too similar to Herc's. Like, these are just a bit too similar for my tastes. This one's pretty cool. The beam makes it. That looks cool. Ares chains are cool. I like that one. It's pretty, but I don't know. Too similar to some of the others. That one's kind of cool. Who is this? Is that Izanami? It's pretty cool. Like the effects on some of them, or like animations going through them, are definitely making some of these. I mean, I love Rain, so this is kind of cool to me. I absolutely love Rain. That is, eh. It makes sense for him, but it's kind of meh. Is this Kukulkan, right? Or is it? I don't know who this one is. Wait, who the fuck is this? Wait, this one is Baron. Who is the other one then? Yeah, this one is decent. I like this one because it affects the inside of the border and not just the outside. That's kind of neat. Yeah, this is pretty cool ones. Yeah, no, I might have the drops on. Like, well, the thing is, I have drops enabled, but I am not a partner with I'm not this smite partner program. I'm way too unreliable in terms of a streamer to get involved with it. I was denied last time for obviously for good reason. So yeah, I'm not a part of the program. So I don't have special drops, but I do have drops enabled on my stream. So you should be able to just get normal like smite drops, but not the special ones. Unfortunately, I tried, but I don't stream enough to really build up I guess a viewer base. So not enough people really show up, and if not enough people show up, you just don't have enough viewers to make it into the partner program. Unfortunately. So yeah, I am sorry, but that is the case. I used to be when I streamed a lot more, but after I quit for a while, I lost it again. I think you should be a partner because you explain so much about the game, it helps. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you think that. It's just, you need a specific amount of viewers to, I guess, be acknowledged by Hi-Res to become partnered. Like, I'll probably need around 40 or 50, like, concurrent viewers at all times to, yeah, to get that. And while I have that sometimes, I don't stream enough to really, I think, warrant actually getting partnered. Like, I stream at absolute max at the moment, like, once a week. That's not really ideal. Like, I would just be wasting their time. Alright. What am I playing? I've been feeling it for a while. I'll do the Thanatos in this one. Oh no, Studnai. The good old Studnai support. Should have went for the on her support. Odin is pretty good here though. I like the pick. You should play Kepri. I do support the Odin. They keep picking things that are just not great into Odin. But we'll see how bad this is going to be for Studnai, not getting his main role. So I'm hoping our ADC is prepared. Oh, well, I was not prepared for the Kukulkan jungle, I'll tell you that much. This might be a rough one. Kukulkan jungle against Nemesis. Might be some rough ganks. But maybe I'm judging too early. Maybe this guy has some new tech. If we have Scepter, or is it Scepter? What is the thing they call that, like, knocks people away? If you blink behind them and knock them into your teammates, that's kind of a Giga Jet move. You can do that. You can do that on any god. You just can't do it very often. It's not really the most reliable setup.
Death's grip grows stronger.
Alright. Dutch, Studnai, if you boys both hear me, we have one job. It is the same job as last one, Dutch. Don't rely on your teammates unless you deem it a good idea. Alright? Play for yourself. Play selfish. Once we end up getting to mid and late game where we can group, we should win. Alright? Good. I'm glad we agree. I do need to be careful though. I do. I do not want to fall behind in this matchup, no matter what I'm against. Thanatos is honestly just one of the worst gods from behind.
Okay. Set up an ambush. Okay. You are fabulous.
Minions have spawned.
That's nice. I love when my teammates hate each other already.
You are fabulous. Fabulous.
Excellent work.
They might just be fucking with each other though. They could be friends. It's hard to say these days.
Awesome.
Well, I don't think they're friends anymore. I think now he got pissed. Studnai, honestly, you might just want to go jungle. What's happening? Now he's chilling in duo. I guess they weren't kidding. Now he's pissed.
You cuckoo, you are jungle buddy.
No, my heal! It was right there! Oh no. Well, I don't deserve to play this god anymore. Well, at least I have pressure. So it could be worse. I could have not pressure.
You cuckoo, you're jungle buddy. I don't know what you're doing. I guess this is what triple Q brings to the table. All jungle.
Nice job.
Thanks.
Well. Alright. I'm winning the trades, but not getting the kills out of it is kind of bad. I need to hit my ones. Sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. I don't want to back up. What do I need? I think 1850? Yeah.
An ally has been slain.
Show you my true power.
Your left tower is under attack.
I'm on it.
I'll gank. Your right
He does have Sunder.
Slain an enemy.
Flunked out.
Nice. I do have a bad habit of not backing early enough, and then I get invaded. That's definitely a problem that I'm running into in ranked. It never happens to me in like scrims and stuff, but I get a little too unserious and overstay, stay a lot, or I just underestimate my enemy, thinking they won't evade me. I also don't want to not deny me and myself some XP here.
Your left tower is under attack.
Alright, we're nearing a point where I should be just fine. Once Glass Shield is finished, I'm good. I shouldn't really be worried about dying in this matchup anymore. This man jukes different ways every time. I can't predict where he goes. He doesn't have a pattern.
An ally has been slain.
Gank.
An ally has been slain.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Escape death. Enemy.
An ally has been
Why would he rotate now? That's so random.
An enemy has been
Okay.
slain.
What the hell?
Your middle tower is under
I mean,
attack.
why am I even rotating? Like, he's dead as well.
An enemy
The f-
has been
What's
slain.
happening there? Alright.
Enemy missing.
I'm coming for you.
I'm starting to think he might be trolling. Because that's the most random rotation he did, and going on a stair also is a bit troll, but what do I know?
Be careful left. An enemy has been slain.
Careful left. On my way. I'll gank left lane. Ultimate is ready.
Be careful left. An ally has been
Thanatos' interaction with the totem is also one of the weirdest things in Smite 2. Because he heals off a percentage, he just heals so much because the totem, like, I guess on paper has a lot of HP.
An enemy has been
So you just heal for like 700 early game.
Thank you.
killing spree. Enemy missing right.
On my way.
Shut down. By the gods.
Ah, the heal. Of course. Well, okay. These potions.
Your fate is sealed.
Oh no. Well, okay. That was troll. What the fuck, man? Why is everyone there? That's only two. I'll get one. And on her, I guess, was hit. I don't think it was me. Maybe it was. I don't want to just throw on her under the bus, but the fact that she got a heal from the Baron too completely fucked me. Or fucked the execution up.
On my way.
Your left tower is under attack. Your souls to me.
That kind of just brought them back into the game. Now it's even again. And in terms of... She has 4 kills? Oh. Well, I just suck ass, I guess.
Isn't this just great fun? Take left lane. Attack.
I cannot box her anymore.
On my way.
Stand back. I can handle this. Killing spree.
Not that I should at this point, anyway.
Need healing. Your middle tower is under attack.
Just gonna out-sustain me too, for the most part, if we try to fight. In the fight itself. I can heal on other shit, but on her specifically, she's just gonna heal back now.
Stand back. I can handle this. I'll gain left lane.
Right back.
Power.
Ultimate is ready.
I thought she was gonna keep going. That's fine.
Stand back.
No! Why is everything? There's so many over there, man. Actually, while I remember, I'm going to actually report this guy. I guess not playing their role.
Your right tower is under attack.
Amma is definitely isn't bad. Like I've seen Rocco a while, or a few times here and there. So making this a bit tough.
Has been slain.
We have Anubis. Like I'm not worried that we will lose this game either way, but
Your left tower is under attack.
Chase the enemy.
Well, perhaps even a god can make an error.
I just wanted the heal and the creep.
I'll gank that lane.
Yeah, I'm just gonna need to keep my ult for safety reasons.
On my way. You cannot escape death.
Yeah, I mean I don't have anything. I don't have my ult either. I'm just maybe dead. Without my ult, I just dude. There's such so many people here all the time. I don't want to fight. Oh. I just don't want to fight and ride at all. If you hear me, Stood 9, because there's for some reason always at least 3 people here. We're definitely more wards if you want to do anything. And with my ult down, I have no way of getting out. Not yet, at least. I should have leveled my 2 second in this game. Because they have so many slows. And I need to be able to get that away from everything.
Destroyed a left enemy tower. Your
Turn the tips
tower
off?
is under attack.
The fuck do you mean, man?
Your middle tower is under attack.
I actually don't even know what you mean.
I'll attack left lane. Name a god with more power.
Tips mean too many things at this point.
Than I. You cannot.
Fucking classic. Why wouldn't my blue be done? I needed so much as Thanatos.
Rampage.
Ultimate is ready.
I don't want to meet her face to face.
Your left tower is under attack. Be right back.
I'm not sure if there's no XP to get or I'm just not getting the XP, but I wasn't getting shit there. Oh, the pinging, you mean? Oh, really? Oh, the tips that pops up. That's what you mean. Oh, yeah, I could turn that off, yeah. I just don't even realize they're there, you know?
I'll gank. Why, hello, subjects. Attack right lane.
She dashed.
Like, I legitimately just don't notice them. That's also why I was so confused on what the fuck you're talking about. But you're right, I guess my brain still recognizes they pop up here and there.
Your left tower is under attack.
Souls to me.
Blue buff. so. Because I'm definitely getting rotated on here.
Unstoppable.
I'll see if I can get my blue before the Baron turns up. Kinda want to protect red as well though. Ah, he's mid. That's fine.
Even the immortals shall fear death now. Enemy missing right. I'll cut you down. Shut down! By the gods! Awesome! Gank left lane! Enemy spot!
Neve dashed. Neve dashed.
An ally has been slain! Have slain an enemy!
Oh,
Okay!
that's unfortunate. Oh. Well. Oh, okay.
There's no time for
Yeah, and I guess we have to play around all three of us, I think. We couldn't really expect on her to do anything there. Did he actually just jump in and die instantly? Was that what happened? I didn't really see him.
on my way.
Get some wards as well. We have 0 wards in the map. Yo, Dutch, go gold, man. Why are you getting the gold camp for? Well-placed tornado. It's gonna do so much. Oh, he's done.
Okay, double kill. Killing spree. The enemy
Alright.
team has
We definitely gotta start grouping because they're actually kind of clapping us otherwise. And like, even though this might suck, Dutch, we need your ult for the Amaterasu. Amaterasu fully beelines me for some reason. There's nothing I can do against her. Without help, at least. And she just killed me. If she dies, I don't think anything else kills me on that team. Unless they gang up on me. But, like, in a fight, I think I should be just fine. She might be going for red here. We're gonna do enough damage or no? Okay. I guess. Huh. That did not go as I would have expected. Also, worse boys. When it works badly.
This This is very unplayable, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, this is kind
It's
of
the last time I triple Q.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think this triple Q would have been as bad if it wasn't because we had Student Eye unfortunately on support and not on ADC. Did he actually get it? No way. I can't tell. I can't tell if they have it either. Who the fuck got that?
Your right tower is under attack.
Yeah, Honor has it. Huh. Yeah, it's okay. It's set on screen. Yeah, I missed it. I was looking at chat when he got it. No, man, that's my blink as well. I don't even think I should have blinked. That's Neathold as well.
An ally has been slain. Double kill.
I'm not even gonna get this. Yeah. That's not even happening. Oh. Yeah, I mean, even in terms of just skill, it does seem like their team is just generally better than our two randoms. Like, Honor is super confused.
Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Yeah, he went ages too into this comp. He's never getting out of any Baron ults. Where's my jungle? Well, that's the thing. It was supposed to be Kukulkan, but he just straight up went mid instead. So Dutch had to go jungle, semi-jungle. Kukulkan kind of fucked this one up. He just trolled us. Dude, I'm just stuck in here. I'm playing bad, I will admit, in this game, but they also have such an annoying comp as any frontline to deal with in a Baron, a Nuwa. Like Baron Nuwa kind of being my main issues because they just kind of stop what I'm doing. Especially as someone like Thanatos where I don't have a jump or a dash. Yeah. It's not an easy game overall here.
Your left tower is
And I just can't box the Amma either. Amma is playing it well. He's playing it as he should. Like,
just great fun.
at this point in time, my scythe does not do enough damage to box anything that is building into an auto attack build, unless they're squishy like an ADC.
Gank left lane.
Cut your life stream.
No one's nearby.
Gank.
Dutch and Studnai, please, by Worst Boys. I feel like I'm the only one warding. We just never know where anyone is. We can legitimately ambush them and group if we know where they are.
Okay. Enemy ultimate down. I'll cut you down.
ward fire while I have the chance.
Best of luck. You are going to need it. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
An ally has been slain. You are fabulous.
Okay, fine. Live and
On my way.
They use shell, and that's good for us.
Defend. I'll defend the fire giant.
Have fun.
On my way.
Have fun.
Defend. Attack.
Be right back.
I'm going for it. Nope.
Team has destroyed the fire giant.
Got Nemesis Blanket is something. Oof. That was close.
Enemy spotted. Enemy spotted.
Yeah, we just can't have Dutch die. Dutch is the only way for us to kill the front line. I can't trust on her with it. He does have the build for it though. Both Xe and Kins are in that build. He could use a Titan's Bane though.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyramid.
I'll see if I can actually take advantage of...
silence.
I don't actually think I can kill her, I'm not gonna lie. Especially not with this fucking guy here. Why is this Baron everywhere I am?
Retreat from lane.
Dude, he keeps using that on me. Couldn't have Odin it. I'm just slow immune, so I just get away from that either way. That's funny though. I don't know why he uses it on me every time.
Your left tower has been destroyed.
Oh no. Oh no, dude. Also, that was some bullshit. He went stealth inside of his ult. My brain just didn't register what just happened. He actually just went stealthed.
Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed.
Beware the shifting sand.
Some of them are falling back. If you want to fight, now is the chance. But these fucking new minions are making my life so annoyingly difficult. It just doesn't matter. Like, I don't even know what to do here. Like, on her was spamming this whole time, but he was arguably worse than the Kukulkan, even though the Kukulkan is kind of the one who ruined the rolling here of this. Wow, 25 straight up. Look at that. Yeah, no worries, Dutch. No worries, man. Alright, we can do a duo queue, student, if you're still interested. I'll do one last game before I dip out as well. But yeah, I understand, Dutch, because you were kind of forced out of your lane. Like, I had that happen a few days ago as well for me in solo. It's super fucking annoying when someone just refuses to play normal. I'm not even sure I could have made any like difference if I was playing something else, unless I was playing something that also dealt damage. Because then I could try and help you kill stuff. But in this game, if I was playing any other frontline, I would have gotten fucked too. Because I always had 2 or 3 people around me. It was just really, really silly. Like Baron was always, for some reason, in my lane. Eventually, like, after a certain point, he was just always around. I was bound to lose one. That's the first loss tonight. Yeah, I think people like that Cuckoo is one of the reasons why we really need chat. Because I don't know. I don't know if he would, but hopefully someone like that would tell people in chat that he can't jungle and really, really wants to try and avoid that. Because I don't give a fuck. Like I'll go jungle if that's what it takes. Like I don't care. You can take solo, play fucking Kukulkan in solo if that's what you want to do. But don't start trolling and run to people's lanes. Like that just ruins everything. And on top of that, like you're risking getting suspended or banned as well for doing it. Like I don't see any point in doing it in the first place. Or there's also this: you could dodge. What about that? You could dodge. A crazy, crazy thing you can do sometimes. I should have banned Raw actually. I'll fucking pick the Zeus if I have to. I'm not dealing with Raw. You need 3 brain cells max to actually use Raw well right now. Think he started trolling because Honor spam pinged him? Yeah, he might have. I was suggesting or thinking about that in the beginning as well. I really don't want to play Raw, but I really don't want to meet Raw. What kind of angle is this? I think it is unfortunately a Raw angle. I refuse to deal with this right now. That will tilt me. I don't think I'll be building the broken build unless unless they have a horrible comp for me to deal with as Raw. If they pick Odin Fenrir, then I might go for the broken build. I actually kind of wish he just spoke up Dutch, because if he did, I would have gladly taken jungle. Like, I was even playing Thanatos in the first place. I could have just taken jungle. It wouldn't even have been difficult. What is the broken build? Glad Shield and Phoenix Shield. Oh, Ra becomes an unboxable tank. And it's very easy to abuse. It's because the 2, like the autos on his 2 procs every single item effect. So something like Phoenix Shield that heals you every, like for, what is it, 2% every hit? Like, but it's supposed to be like 2% on each ability. On Ra, it's every auto on the 2. So you can just super abuse it. And supposedly it works as intended, but I disagree. I disagree, man. That shit is not intended. Fuck that. So he is just borderline broken. Not even borderline, but he is broken. He's used in competitive because of it. Ra solo. He's being banned. Because he's bullshit. People realized it, and suddenly he became the best soul in the game. Not entirely true. Something is better than him in some cases. Like, you can still kind of counter him with like an Odin and gank him a lot combined with the Odin. But it's still a risk. It's kind of like dealing with the Zeus. Like, do you want to take the risk of him potentially shitting on you very easily? No, you would just rather ban it. I mean, it's not going to be against me either way. I ban Ra. I ban it or I pick it myself because I refuse to deal with it. And people are doing it anyway. Like, it's not like me telling people it's going to change a whole lot, I think. Like, you see literally every other stream using it. It is not a secret. And enjoy it while it lasts, because I do not think that it's going to be He's gonna be here for much longer. Which I fucking hope. It better be nerfed next patch, otherwise I don't know, I'm losing a brain cell or two. Or more. Probably more.
Tasty.
Definitely more. Yeah, I mean, into their comp, I don't think I want to do it into their comp anyway. I could. I'm also the only magic damage we really have outside of Ymir. I'm definitely gonna have to go somewhat heavy on damage. With 17-0 on ROM, but you're a respectable gentleman, you're in full damage. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how this game goes, and we'll see if I stay respectable. Because depending on how this game goes, that might change. Your jungle. I honestly think you can put it anywhere right now. That's how broken it is. It works obviously in solo and mid. You can put it in jungle. He has pretty good jungle clear. You can absolutely put it in support. And I don't see why you couldn't also just put it in ADC, because he also outboxes everything. So, I mean, you can put it anywhere and still make it work. There are definitely arguments for why you wouldn't want to do it in competitive, but I'm pretty sure you can put the raw tank anywhere right now with how strong it is. Like, ADCs will start out trading you late game. Once they have crit and pet online, you can't deal with them anymore. But any frontline or any like assassin going on you generally is pretty easy for you to deal with throughout the whole game. Once you have those two items online. Also, I have an on her jungle. Today is not normal. They woke up this morning and said fuck normal. And this Gamehunter guy, we're not doing that. Oh wait, it's not an on her jungle. It's not on her mid. With an Ammo jungle. I take everything back, that's fine. I do also want to, like, reiterate on something. Because even if they nerf the thing on Raw that I want them to nerf, which is the proc on every single one of these two autos, he's still gonna be really good. It's just he's not gonna be broken, I think.
I don't know what he jumped there. He's secure in the buff lane.
Right now, he's just, like, something... He has something that straight up just makes him unnecessarily broken with the item procs. If that wasn't a thing, he would still just be strong. Ra in Smite 1 will generally win any lane clear level 3 anyway, because Ra's kit is just really good for wave clear. But he was going to reach a point eventually that he can no longer deal with a front line, which I think should be the case, because he's a mage, right? He's supposed to be one-shotting, not one-shotting, but like out-trading frontliners. That's just silly. I feel like I've been rambling enough about the run now. My throat is getting a bit sore. I'm gonna back, if I get the chance to. Thank you. I'm gonna start being a bit less greedy in my lanes here. I need to be here and ready for my blue when it spawns, instead of losing it almost every game because I'm stupid. And I'm underestimating my enemies.
Be careful, middle.
He's level 4, no, he's just at 5. It's fine. I expect Student Knight to carry me this game. I also changed my mind. I will go for the broken build in this game. Yeah, that's why. I don't even know why I blinked. I wasn't getting out. Either that or I should have taken the hit and then blinked out. But then Loki would just ult after me. Like, I don't see any case where I wouldn't have died there. I shouldn't have wasted it. And I just TP'd that guy as well. That's disgusting. Loki convinced me. We're doing it.
That's the spot.
Baron is also one of the more annoying matchups for sure.
An ally has been slain.
I don't like what's happening in mid.
Killing spree. Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Loki just controlling the game at this point.
Defend middle lane. Defend middle lane.
Your middle tower is under attack. The heat bears down upon you.
No, Ymir. You missed freeze, buddy. Get the fuck out. And help your mid.
Has been slain. An ally has been slain.
That's an A+.
Rampage.
Don't know where where Loki went. It's kind of the one I went for.
Bathe the glow.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Enemy missing right.
The glow.
Kind of smells in here, I'm not gonna lie. Someone's cooking, but it's not good.
Double kill. Enemies in the right jungle.
I like what Studna is cooking up though.
Triple kill. You rule. Rampage.
Carry me, Studna. My life is hell over here. I'm just watching the warp burn. Because there's always a Loki around me. Can't even try and fight the Baron if I wanted to.
Bears down upon you.
The glow.
I don't want to back yet. Doki's in red as well. Did he just... Okay, he has Sunder. He would just one-shot that buff. I saw that shit. I wanted to snipe him.
Has been slain. Enemies incoming. Spree. Enemies incoming.
Enemy missing.
Slain. Free your soul.
Enemies incoming. Right. Be careful.
Let's see if I can safely secure this.
Destroy the left enemy tower.
Would have expected them to invade that after getting killed, but... I'm not complaining.
Is under attack.
Bro, just
Aha,
clear your
I
mid
know.
wave, please, man.
An ally has been slain. On my way. Slain an enemy.
How the hell did Ymir get that?
The heat bears down upon you. Down you go! Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
Let's go for this.
The heat bears down upon you.
The Moy Clan ranked, I'm seeing these cheesy ass invades become prominent, and it's ruining the game for you. Actually can't go in a single game now.
The heat bears
Yeah, I mean, that's something you'll definitely see more, like in higher level play. Like, invading is just a big deal. If you mean level 1 invades, yeah, it's annoying. But, like, invading buffs after... Like, once you get control in lane, invading is a very big part of Smite. It always has been. The same thing in Smite 1. Invading and controlling the jungle is super important. And in Smite 2, it's very easy to snowball off of it right now. And while it is annoying, it's not that hard to prevent once you get used to it. You just gotta always be prepared for it yourself. You gotta do buffs on spawn. Make sure you're healthy and safe when a buff spawns, so you can be able to like defend it, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, if you're running into like 3 people invading your buff and you're alone, then yeah, not really much to do about it. And I would say you're more unlucky than it happening in every game, in general. Because it doesn't happen to me every game, at least. It happens sometimes, for sure. But every game, definitely not. Like, I do it myself a lot, you know? I invade. Pretty much all the time if I get pressure. It's just a part of what you should be doing if you do get pressure. Because invading is so valuable.
The heat bears down upon you. On my way.
Alright, let's see if we can actually fight this. Should be a good fight. Baron isn't right. And I'm pretty big.
The heat bears down upon you. Your team has destroyed the core.
Let's not give anyone the speed buff. Except for me. I would like it. Thank you very much. I do recommend, especially if you make friends or if you have friends playing, like having a duo queue definitely helps. So at least you have like one other teammate you can trust. If that's not an option, then yeah, I mean, I solo queue a lot myself. It definitely does suck. And I'm not gonna sit and defend the current state of Smite 2's ranked, because it is definitely very, 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 very unbalanced in its matchmaking at the moment. I went for it. I shouldn't have. I couldn't help it. My 2 wasn't up in time. I mean, I say that, but it's pretty much always up. I shouldn't even have done it. Loki is level 13. I just traded myself level 17 for a Loki at 13. But we also did get a tier 2 tower on left, because we baited them long enough. I need to start warding fire. Get him!
Nice job.
Nice job. Is Bloodforge now the go-to item in terms of lifesteal? I still thought Devils was better, but I ulted on main ADC, so I don't fucking know.
Enemy missing. An ally has been slain.
What are we doing here?
Your middle tower is under attack.
Cancelled.
I mean, at least Loki is really far behind. I should start warding this as well.
The enemy team has destroyed the pyramid. Down upon you.
Gank middle lane.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Hopefully I can get there in time.
Help!
An enemy has been slain. Killing spree.
Behind ya! Behind ya!
I played that really sloppy. I thought I had blink up, that's why you saw me run into the wall. I was like, I'm gonna blink over. Fuck no, you're not. That shit's down. Guess I'm getting tired. I'm not gonna keep track of my cooldowns at this point. Okay, good job.
Middle enemy tower. Your left tower is under attack. Down upon you. Retreat. The heat bears down upon you.
We should just group into a fire, honestly. We have such a big XP lead.
Follow me. Attack the gold fury!
Your team has destroyed the gold fury.
The fire giant on my way.
Enemy missing.
Attack fire giant.
Be right back. My way.
Set up an
Right
ambush.
idea. The heat bears down upon you. On my way. Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
I mistimed it even then. Didn't even matter. They could have stolen it, I still would have missed.
Your middle tower is under attack. The heat bears down upon you. Your left tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed a right in your left tower. Down upon you. The heat bears down upon you. The heat bears down upon you.
Thanks.
The heat bears down upon you.
Went the other way, man. Yeah, we're just split pushing, so this works out. can't really say I did much this game. That's pretty much all in Student Eye and the ammo for split pushing, I guess. I was just doing raw things. Still the second most damage, I guess. Wasn't terrible, but... Alright. I definitely felt like my gameplay was a bit affected by my tiredness, so I think I will end it here. But I really appreciate you guys stopping by as always. Let me find someone to rate. And yeah, GG Student Eye and Dutch for earlier. See if there's anyone even streaming at the moment in EU, otherwise we'll give it to the NAs. There's not a lot of people playing at the moment. Damn. At least I don't know anyone of the people streaming. Hey Blastoise, I'm about to leave. Go to bed. I'm just looking for someone to raid, but I don't know anyone. I'll just give it to... Actually, wait. No. Search. It's because it wasn't on Smite 2. There we go. I still don't know anyone.